Hello, you're at Cemlyn Tea Shop in Harlech, and I'm going to tell you now how we started our voyage into tea. We began 16 years ago with 7 different teas. We then expanded over time and we now stock round about 50. Now over that period of time we've had many different teas. Some are nice teas at one particular moment, and then we've gone to find that maybe they've not proved quite so popular, we're not selling quite so much, so if we haven't got the turnover, then we find a different tea which will keep fresh and in perfect condition just for you. When we started 16 years ago, our tea range was much smaller, but for lots of people now, having 7 different teas is quite radical. But as time grew, we expanded our range. When we first started out, we were very much at the cutting edge of tea in Britain. Very few places, maybe 100 or so in the whole of Britain, were drinking and serving real tea. This is part of my range of teas. We stock around about 50 sorts of tea and we sell continuously around about 30. There are many teas available. In China there are around 1,000 green teas. We just stock 4 main green teas here, but we also have some very nice red teas, or in India they will call it black tea, and also chai. Tea is such a wide range of flavours and tastes that it's important that we find the right tea that you like. Now this particular tea that we have here, this is an oolong. This is part of the range. So we start off with white tea, which is just simply dried tea in the sun. Very simple. We then come on to yellow tea, which is dried a bit longer, green tea, longer still. Then we come on to the blue teas, which are the oolongs, which sit in between green tea and red tea. And these are semi-fermented. Fantastic taste, very wide range of flavours. We can have a tea that's just a little bit more than green, or another tea which is almost red, so you can imagine all that range of taste and flavour that's in there. Then we come on to the red teas, things like the Assams, the Darjeelings, the Nilgiris, mainly from India. China does produce some very good red tea as well, from Cemlyn. The Lapsangs, the smoky teas that we're probably familiar with, again from China, they are also red teas, fully fermented, fully oxidized, huge flavour and taste. Some teas work really well with milk, some teas not so good with milk. The red teas, which are quite acidic, take milk very well because milk is an alkaline, so an acid and an alkaline nicely balanced in the middle. If we have a green tea which is already fairly neutral and we put in milk and we make it more alkaline, then we're sending it off onto one side of the scale, which makes it unbalanced and doesn't give such a rounded taste. So it's important that we start off with having tea the way that you like it. So if you really like green tea with milk, that's fine. But if you started off without milk and use that as a reference point, you would then quickly know for yourself, no, I like a bit of milk in there, that's great. There are lots of people who like very acidic teas and they'll put lemon in and no milk, and that's fine too. So don't forget, the main rule is there's no rules. We've talked today about green teas, we've talked about red teas, but there are also some flavoured teas that we could have, maybe flavoured with rose petals. This is a very interesting area of tea, where on the clipper ships that used to come back from India many years ago, it took 90 days for the clipper ships to come back to the docks in Britain. In that time, tea was put into the big tea chest that we probably remember from our history books. The tea was layered with rose petals, for example, for rose tea, and we'd have tea, roses, all the way through the packing case and our tea chest. And then in the 90 days that it took for the tea to come back to Britain in the sea air. The tea would be completely infused now with the rose petals and flavourings, which would be completely natural, and then we would have a fantastic rose tea, for example, that we could drink straight away. The same would work very well for things like jasmine blossoms. So it's not just down to having a particular tea type, we can do other things with tea. We've also talked about having Lapsang tea, Lapsang Souchong, which is a smoky tea. Usually the tea is smoked over pine needles, so giving that very distinctive smoky taste to a tea. Tea matters because it's important to our psyche. It gives us comfort when we're feeling down. It's great in an emergency, and this is testified in many times in real life where something goes badly wrong and tea comes to the rescue. Tea also matters because it gives us the opportunity to have a little bit of luxury when things are going well for us, and we want to celebrate having something which is good and completely affordable. We might have some special teas that we keep back for just that special afternoon tea when we just want some time to sit and have some time for us and contemplate on what we're doing or what we're doing next. Share some things with friends and share our own tastes with friends and bring them something slightly different. It doesn't quite work the same with an instant coffee. This is why we stick to tea.